Turning now to a former Navy intelligence officer who says that he first began tracking money related to Minnesota's massive daycare fraud schemes nearly a decade ago, and that leads directly to an al-Qaeda-linked terror group. And that's just salt on a festering wound. The officer says that when he became a member of our country's Joint Terrorism Task Force back in 2016, he was already tracking hundreds of millions of dollars, which were being taken all by Somali couriers out of our country via the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport. They call that MSP down there. Says he followed the money trail from the Netherlands to Africa before it eventually wound up in a bunch of Somalia-based money exchanges, which the Treasury Department has identified as fronts for the al-Qaeda-linked terrorist group Al-Shabaab. Additionally, the officer says the amount of dough his unit was tracking way back then was merely a drop in the bucket compared to what was likely going on at the time, and that right now, $9 billion, probably a conservative estimate of the current damage. Goes on to say that what first alerted him to the problem a decade ago was a suspicious pattern of cash leaving the country via Minneapolis, just like today. As a result, he began to ask where it was coming from, and eventually, his research led him to compile a list of fake daycare companies as well as others with highly inflated numbers. More specifically, the officer says large amounts of cash were shipping out daily from the airport's Terminal 2, and that direct portions of it, were winding up in the hands of terrorists who used the money to pay for everything from pirate boats to administrative expenses. It's odd this story just gets more and more incredible with each passing day. Taking it a step further, he blames the ongoing fraud schemes on the constant flow of immigrants into our country. Claims this type of institutionalized grift machine, it relies on a steady diet of newcomers in order to support all the bloated welfare programs which have been built up by lawmakers over the years. Final thought, and this is the News Roundup Lowdown. Maybe this is why government leaders in Minnesota are so up in arms right now. They've been found out. The jig is up. The genie's out the bottle. The cat's out the bag, and there is absolutely no turning back. At the very least, Governor Tim Walz, he's got to be somewhat embarrassed. And check this out. Just last night, I think I saw a picture of Tim Walz wearing the phony glasses and big nose disguise. It was either Tim Walz or Ilhan Omar, or maybe both. At this point, I can't be sure. Now, most people wear that contraption when they go to IHOP and they order that Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity Pancakes thing. But look, it's actually a multi-purpose disguise. And when you head up a state which is being looked at very closely for $9 billion worth of fraud, it's kind of important to move around town incognito. Now, look, fraud is one thing, but that tons of that money was allegedly used to fund terrorist activities is both reprehensible and inexcusable, and this never should have happened. Now, tons of people have been leaving comments for us right here on this channel saying that exact same thing. Here's the bottom line. For some people, money's kind of like fame, fancy champagne, and expensive Cadillac cars. Once you've had a taste of any of those things, you want more and more. And for some people, enough is never enough.